What if the key to achieving financial success wasn't just about how much you save or invest, but how you think, act, and approach life? In this episode of Money Mindset Mastery, Jim and Ryan sit down with mindset expert Jamie Purvis, founder of the Be to Have movement, to explore how changing your mindset can transform not just your financial journey, but your entire life.
Wake up, it's time to rise. Talking money with sharp insight. Jim and Ryan here to guide. Mastering the money ride. Saving stacks and planning dreams. Living large by honest means. Tune in now for the schemes. Breaking down financial themes. Money mindset every day.
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Money Mindset Mastery podcast. I'm your host, Jim, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Ryan. Ryan, how are you today?
This is an exciting podcast for me because we get to talk with somebody that is also talking a lot about mindset. So this is perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And joining us today, special guest, Jamie Purvis. Jamie, thank you very much for joining the show today.
My pleasure, and thank you very much for the opportunity, Jim and Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we're glad you're here. And Jamie, you and I have known each other for a few years now, and enjoy working with you. And about 5.5 years ago, you decided to make a major change in your career. So I definitely want to share that with people and how you are currently helping individuals with changing their mindset to improve their careers, their lives, right? And also helping them to potentially generate better or more revenues as part of that. So you are, would it be safe to say coach? Are you
coach.
a coach? Yeah.
Yes, coach, business coach, mindset coach, consultant. It's sort of all packaged together.
Right. And the name of the company is Be Do Have.
Be Do Have movement, correct.
And that is also with your daughter, Jacqueline, correct?
Yes, my business partner, and my didn't see that coming when I started this journey, but it's been a blessing along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, I thought it was awesome as well. And I'm using that word a lot today. Part of it because Ryan and I, we started our podcast with helping people kind of change their money mindset. In our industry, people tend to focus on rates of returns, product, fees, and ultimately what we've learned in our business is in order to achieve financial success, meeting some of those retirement goals, it's more about the mindset. And sometimes the mindset can actually destroy a person's finances. So it's really about the mindset. And then, speaking with you and your firm and what you're doing with Jacqueline as well and helping individuals with changing their mindset, I just thought it was exciting to have you here. So why don't you provide us a bit of a background? We're not going to do this is your life and get back to starting from day one. Let's talk about your background in the real estate industry and ultimately what led you to start your new movement.
Yeah, awesome. There's awesome again for you. I was in the real estate space for many years. I started selling real estate when I was 22. And did it full time for a very long time, 3.5 years selling real estate full time. I built out a team with my business partner. I decided it was time to transition. I wasn't as excited anymore about selling real estate, and I stepped into leadership. We opened up an office in Toronto, a couple offices actually, and I was managing, leading, and growing the offices. And did that for 9.5 years, became very successful. We grew one of the largest companies in Canada for our brand for 3 years in a row. And I lost that loving feeling, I always say. I wasn't inspired anymore, and I loved 20% of what I was doing in the role, but I didn't love everything. And I certainly loved the coaching component of it. And helping our agents build their businesses, helping them shifting their mindset. I was working on mindset with everybody even before we started talking tactics. We had to help people understand that their goals were believable and that they deserve their success, and helping them reprogram some conditioned thinking a lot of times that keeps us stuck. And made the decision again to walk away from the industry. So I sold my shares in the company and left the only industry that I've ever been in, and started this journey with my business partner, my daughter, 2019. Yeah, the beginning of 2019.
Where
And
did
you
you
haven't
guys
looked
come?
back since.
Where did you guys come up with the name Be Do Have? Because I've when I traveled, obviously Gandhi, be the world, be the change you want to see in the world. I
Yeah.
had always put B on the front of my door. I worked on cruise ships, and this big signage, and I left a pen, and everybody would walk by, and I started, and the very first thing I wrote was "Be a coach," and here we are, 25 years later, and other people would write, "Be an achiever," "Be a parent," "Be a mentor," and it would grow. And at the end of every contract, I would have this board that represented everything that people wrote down. So it's very fascinating. So Be Do Have. Where did you guys come up with the name?
Over the years, a lot of training I was in, we focused on mindset, obviously, and the concept that I think the first time I really discovered it was when we were learning how to set goals. And I was taught a certain way to set goals. I think like most of us, right? You want this goal, right? So you cast this vision of this thing you want, whether it's sales, income, whatever the case might be. And then we jump right into the doing, right? That we have to do this, we have to do that. And once we do that, then we'll have the goal and then we'll be successful. Then we'll be happy. And my mentors over the years really helped me understand that to fast track that process, you have to really turn that upside down and focus on the being. You have to focus on who is it? What do you have to think? How do you have to think? Put yourself in a state of mind where you've already achieved the goal. How are you feeling? How are you acting? What are you doing? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And when you do that, ultimately what happens is you get more inspired ideas show up, and now you'll do the work. You have to do the work, but we'll do it different than we've ever done in the past. So we create new habits. And then ultimately the having is the goal that we've set, which is guaranteed as long as you believe in yourself and you do the work, you're going to have the success that you want. So I learned that in real estate sales. And when we grew the real estate company, it's exactly what we were applying. So one day when I was thinking about what do we name the company, it was literally a flash, right? It was just a flash in my head. It was like the Be to Have movement. And it just made sense. It was directly in alignment to a lot of my coaching and mentorship over the years, but focusing on your mindset and being this person, imagining you've already achieved the success. And now we just model that for our clients.
I think you brought up something.
And Jamie, did you design? Sorry, did you design the program yourself?
We've got several different programs that we use and that we teach, and we work with professionals. We have a method. So we've created a custom signature method, the Be to Have method. And it's designed, it doesn't matter who I'm working with, what industry. We've focused a lot in the beginning on mindset, and that's a vast majority of the work we do. And as you know, helping people believe in themselves, right? It's something that I don't know if we all really deep down believe in ourselves to achieve our goals when we first start a journey. And if I work with clients and I just help them reinforce that belief and help them paint the picture for themselves, the spark gets lit. And when that happens, then you see this shift and change in people and their attitudes. So we've taken the method, we've created a method, and we apply it to every industry because the fact it is on mindset first.
I think what I was going to say is I think this one should be something that we'd be teaching kids, young adults in school, first and foremost. This mindset. And you talked about building a team. And I think a team could be just about anything. And I think when we were talking before, the team could be friends and family. And I think that's sometimes what often gets in the way of some people is the core group of people. Study has shown the core 5 people around you are the people that will represent how you think. And if those people aren't on board with that dream or a goal that you have, can really take away from you being able to achieve that. So it's really important for younger listeners, especially out there, like that core group of people that are that you're surrounding yourself with is such an important piece of how successful you're going to be, short term and long term.
And you're bang on. It's that inner circle. We call it your inner circle, right? And a lot of times people come to us from a business perspective, and we, in very short order, start talking and working on our personal elements, right? So,
Yeah.
you surround yourself with that strong inner circle that believes in you, that inspires you, that wants you to succeed. And when you do that personally, it just is a natural extension in business.
That's interesting because I know years ago I read a book titled Safe People, and they talked about how you identify a safe person in your life and an unsafe person. Now, it wasn't in relation to business necessarily, but as I went through that book and I realized there's certain people in my life that I would consider to be unsafe, and those were typically people that put you down every single time. If you even had a little bit of success, they were never behind you. They were always against you. And the safe people were the ones that were there to encourage you, to provide you with advice, to guide you through the way to be happy when you have achieved success. And it sounds like you're doing a very similar thing, identifying, build a team of strong people that will support you, elevate you, right? Or even, I remember my dad years ago used to say to me, if you want to learn to be a really good hockey player, you don't play against the John Cordicks of the NHL, right? You play against the Wayne Gretzky's, right? Because you'll feel good beating the John Cordicks because you can skate around them, but you're never going to get better. You're never going to improve. But when you play with, against players that are above you in terms of your skill set, you'll want to elevate yourself to that level, right? So would you say it's very similar in terms of what you're doing in surrounding people with the right individuals?
Yeah, 100%. It's no different than golfing, playing tennis, any sport, right? You want to play and be around people that are better than you often, because what it does is it causes you to raise your standards. And I think standards was something that I learned definitely in the last 10 years of how important that was and who I allowed to be around me. And we've released people from our lives, and you don't have to have a conversation. You don't have to make it dramatic at all. It's just, who am I going to surround myself with, and who's going to, again, be part of that inner circle, but more importantly, who's going to, I'm going to say, push me or have conversations with me about achieving my goals. And that's sometimes pointed questions. It's accountability, and it's a whole different conversation than just hanging out with the guys.
And the other question too, then, from someone who's going through the program, does that also apply with the clients that they work with? Because I know in our industry, we can have some very challenging individuals, and there is this thought process that you have to work with them. They're a client. One of the things that I've learned a long time ago, and I've helped Ryan realize, if they are a drain of sorts emotionally, mentally, if every time you see the phone ringing, you see their name, like, oh, I don't want to really deal with that person, that's probably not a good client to have long term, and probably unhealthy as well to the individual. So is that also part of your teaching when you work with some of these professionals?
Yeah, absolutely. It's that ideal client philosophy, right? Who's your avatar? Who's that ideal client? Who do you love, have fun with? Who do you get energy from? And you can build your business with those people. Even if you don't, you're just starting a business, you don't have a lot of clients. I have learned that. And when we built this business 5 years ago, I was really clear on who is my ideal client. We needed to have a great attitude. Attitude for me is the most important thing. We need a great attitude, learning-based, growth mindset. They want to grow and succeed in life. And we built our own business around people that are just like that. And ironically, they're like us, right? So you build your business around people that are like you, and it's fun, and you want to serve and you want to help. So yeah, it's really important. And, like you mentioned, Jim, when I first started selling real estate, like, it didn't matter. Whoever was there, I was working with everybody. And then I remember those times where you look at the phone and you just don't want to answer it because it's just work, right? And life's too short. Life's too short. And I would advise anybody now, and when you're just starting a business, you don't think maybe you have that abundant mindset, right? You don't have that thinking that, okay, I can be that particular or that specific. But the more specific you are, the faster you're going to build that type of business. So it's really important to be clear on who are you allowing, who are you attracting, and then more importantly, who are you being, right? Brian, back to your point, like, we always say, if you want to attract these great people, be that great client. And it comes right back to you. right? So it's just a matter of stepping into that, have a great attitude, look for the good in people, look for the good in situations, help people, right? Just go beyond what service standards are today, because it's not what it used to be. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know, Jamie, when I see your name on the call display, I look forward to picking up that phone.
Well, I appreciate that.
Just in case you were wondering.
Ryan, we'll check in later. I'll get the real truth.
You haven't called me yet. So one of the things that Jim taught me early on too was, again, the attitude piece and be an advocate for you, right? And by yourself being a great representation of your business, your brand, those people will advocate for you. So, and you added the third A for me, and Jim, to maybe add, was abundance, right? The abundance mindset for the people that you want to work with. If they don't have the abundance mindset of wanting to grow and become better, then maybe that's a place to stop and rethink about whether that's to continue the journey with them, right? So, yeah.
And Jamie, do professionals really feel stuck? Like high-end salespeople, do they get stuck?
I think everybody gets stuck when they hit a level, a plateau, and everyone, I think, knows when they've hit that level. And often I'll say, "What's your income zone?" And for salespeople, as an example, and they'll look at me like, "What do you mean?" And your income zone is basically plus or minus 10% what you did last year. If you're gross commission, you can look 2-3 years history and you'll have a zone of income. And you basically have hit a ceiling. And if that is evident, well, then the question is, if that's working for you, then fantastic. You don't have to do anything, right? However, if you do want more and you want to get out of that zone, then we have to start thinking different. We have to create new habits. We have to have different perspective. We have to change our belief system, which was the hardest thing for me, because, where did my belief system come from, right? Family, culture, school, right? Everyone put this on kids, and we grow into that and those expectations. So if we want to change that, we literally have to reprogram our thinking. That in itself just takes time to even accept and be open to.
I'm going to look at it as, for the parents out there listening, you are your biggest influence for your kids. And I know often the dialogue is the school system is not doing enough. I will challenge everybody out there is it's all of us. It's a community, right? And again, the same thing is who you're surrounding your kids with that are going to help them and grow them, and who are the kids that they're hanging out with. Are they in a good situation? And how can we change it all? You talked a lot about creating new habits. What are some of the tools that you've used with some of your clients to help them create some of those new habits? Not to give everything away for you. So
yeah, no, it's all good. The first one is getting clarity on what you want. I think, if we don't understand where we're going, then we're sort of like a ship out in the ocean, just getting bounced around in the waves out in the ocean, right? So where's the destination? Where do you want to see yourself in 3-5 years from now? Mm-hmm. I like to look 3 years as a window. For me, that's far enough in the future, but not too close. And I've also learned I grow so much in a short period of time. So those goals I set 3 years out from now, they're going to change in 6 months from now if I'm growing and doing things different. So to go too far out for me doesn't work very well. I like that short window of 3 years. And that's the first goal is, what do you want? And, document it. We like to do a mindset dump, right? We call it the mindset reset. And one of the things we'll do is when we first start working with a client, we'll ask them to block off 50 minutes, 50, and literally write down everything in your mind. Set your timer on your phone, and then just go. Let whatever comes out of your mind onto the sheet of paper. And the goal is to have at least a list of 100 things. And that in itself, what it does is it provides clarity. It just gets all this stuff out of our head onto a sheet of paper, and then we have a blank slate. And then with that thinking, now I ask the question, if time and money were not an option, what would you do? What would you like to do with your life? And to your point, Jim, do successful people get stuck? I think right now a lot of the people we're working with are stuck. And a lot of them are making a lot of money, but it's like, what's next? Like, now what do I do? Or I have a real top successful realtor and they're coming up to the end of the year and they're excited because they've had an actually really good year, but January 1st, you have to do it all over again. And it's that repetition, that pattern, right? So I think there's always room to grow. I never say I'm at a 10 in my life in any area because there's always room to grow and I can do things better.
Yeah, I know Ryan has said in the past in some of our recordings that even the high-end athletes are surrounded by coaches. Not just the coach on the bench, but they have their nutritional coach and they have their athletic coach, and there's probably a list of them, right? And I think anyone can benefit from having a coach, having some guidance, having someone like yourself and Jacqueline to kind of step in and maybe take a view or a different perspective of someone's life and career and how they're doing things, right? Because I like that word stuck. Not that I like that people are stuck, but I think it really describes how someone feels sometimes in the real estate industry. Again, an individual who's a salesperson, an executive, a professional, people in our industry. Sometimes you just tend to feel stuck. And we can kind of sit back and try to figure it out ourselves, and it never works out. It rarely works out, right?
Or it takes a long time, right? Like, if you're persistent, you're going to find a way, right? So you're just going to take all the courses, read the books, listen to the podcasts. You're persistent. You will find a way. I've just been blessed knowing the value of coaching in my life. I've had a coach since I was 23 years old. In real estate, in mindset, when I was running the real estate company, I had 5 different coaches, different areas of my life, from physical, financial, real estate, team leader coach, leadership coach. So you have all this around you. And what it does is it just raises that level of accountability and the standard that I put on myself. And I'll beat myself up. I don't need anybody to do that. So nobody's going to beat me up like me. What great coaches do is they just keep you in your lane. They keep the blinders on. They keep you moving to the direction that you said you wanted to go so that you don't get distracted, because focus is one of my biggest challenges. I can get very distracted, and I just know focus is the key. So if I just have that light and I know where I'm heading, and that's a beautiful part of working with my daughter, my business partner, is like we bounce things off each other, and she calls me out on things and I call her out. And in our coaching environment, it's Jamie and Jacqueline. It's not Dad. Dad's not part of this journey. And that's what I really respect about this, is we're on this journey together to lead our lives to the vision that we've created for ourselves. And we just really want to model that for people. I would like to model things.
Yeah, there's a radical candor. There's a book also called Radical Candor that talks a little about this. I think it's a TED Talk also, but it's about also surrounding yourself with people that truly care and are able to give you feedback when you're really stuck, right? And again, being a coach, one of those things, and I love that activity of writing 100 things down, because you can have somebody else as a third perspective look at it and go, let's clear out all the clutter. Let's get rid of all the clutter. And again, my journey too is 5 choices about boxing things up and removing clutter and delegating other things to make sure that you stay on track with it. But I think it's really important that people understand that working with a coach really helps hone in what it is that you're looking for, is somebody's that is invested, but not invested in a way emotionally that can get caught up in kind of the weeds of, oh, but what happens if this and what happens if this? No, we're here to, like a racehorse, get you going towards the end goal for yourselves. So yeah.
And challenging the beliefs. That's one thing I love doing. Is every coaching call we start with, tell me something good. That's the routine. You show up, tell me something good. So I need to bring you to a place where we're looking for the good and what's happening good in your life, good in your business, whatever the case is. Because there's lots of reasons that might not be the case, right? With the world that's going on today and economy and everything else. So when we can focus on the good, then I'll start to hear the pain points. So what has been the biggest struggle? And then the struggles come out, and then being a sounding board, I get to challenge their thinking around that struggle. So if that wasn't true, And we like to use the law of polarity, the opposites, right? If that wasn't true and the reality was 100% opposite to that, what would that look like? And we let people really self-discover. I love the value of great questions and just letting people discover their own answers versus me telling the answers, because when it's theirs, they can't deny it, right? If they don't agree with what I've said, well, they can resist it, and then we're not going anywhere. So great coaching over the years that I've received was all about asking great questions.
Absolutely. Again, I will always refer to books as my go-to dialogue, and one of them referred to as 5 whys. So if somebody has a problem, ask why, and then why again, why, and then by the time you hit the 5th why, you've truly revealed what it is that's causing the blockage for them. And then, your team or yourself, hopefully yourself, you've discovered how to move on from that, or that you've got a team there that can help you reveal and maybe perhaps help you solve that problem and move forwards.
And Ryan, on that point, when we were talking about inner circle, right? So if you have a great inner circle, they will go that deep.
Yeah.
Right? These aren't normal conversations that I grew up with in my family. Like, how's it going? Great. Okay. Economy, this, this person made me upset, whatever the case was. You go any conversation 3, 4, 5 levels deep, it's an entirely different conversation.
Yeah. People shy away before you get there. So.
Oh yeah. And they can get emotional. It's when I was a team leader and I was recruiting, I discovered the most fantastic recruiting tool that I ever had. And it was a box of Kleenex, because the conversations often became so deep and were so emotional that people just got into a place that they felt comfortable, they trusted the environment, and they just became emotional. And that Kleenex it was liberating. And that became the vehicle that helped us grow the company. And it's an extension of what we do in coaching, right? You just get so connected to somebody, and I don't care what anybody's goal is. If they tell me that's what they want, it's like, let's do it. Like, if that's what you want, I'm on your side. Let's go. Let's figure it out. And that becomes the journey.
Jamie, do you typically work with one-on-one individuals, or are you able to work with for example, a sales team? Because I know when I started in the industry 35 years ago, the tactics were very different. Had I had someone like yourself and Jackie, teach me or talk about my mindset and kind of shifting how I was thinking, as opposed to a sales manager kicking my butt because I didn't make enough phone calls or whatever else, I think I would have achieved success a lot sooner rather than later. So why don't you tell us how you and Jackie do help people, again, one-on-one, team, and then different programs that you have available?
Yeah, absolutely. We do a variety. We do work with people one-on-one. Sometimes people want that extra special attention, and it could be once a month. It could be 3 times a month. It's all fluid. It's very, very independent on what we want. It's all about what the client feels they need. We have a membership program, so we have 3 calls a month with our members. We have a real estate specific program that we've created. It's a 12-step module that we framed off the game Monopoly. Ironically enough, we understood Monopoly. Everybody knows Monopoly. And we thought, how can we gamify what salespeople do and go through in real estate? And we've gamified it into 12 modules. And right now it's specific to the real estate industry. Our intention over the next year is to take it to every industry. It's just salespeople in general, because it doesn't matter what somebody does. We always make the assumption, you know what you're doing. You're probably not doing everything you know. So as a result of that, let's build out the foundation, and then you can take it to your individual field. And what's starting to show up now, interesting enough, is companies are reaching out and they want us to now talk to them and bringing us in to create opportunities individually with their salespeople. And we're creating custom opportunities because everybody's a little bit different. So we have an idea right now for top producers. They have the foundations in place, but maybe they're hitting a ceiling at a different level. And then how do you incorporate that with somebody that might be on the other end of the spectrum that's just starting out, that if they had the right idea and the right mindset right in the beginning, Jim, I agree with you. I grew up with a traditional real estate scripts and all that stuff, and it worked. It served me well. but I discovered it wasn't holistic and there was a missing component. And that was the individual, right? And if we can connect that for somebody brand new in the real estate industry or any industry, the companies are going to provide the tools that they need so they can apply them. But if we can shift this coming in and start to collapse time for people by helping them shift their paradigms and shift even what they feel they deserve, believe it or not, that's one of the biggest challenges that we all have. I know I've had for a long time is the deserving. I deserve success. I deserve to be wealthy. Like this is deep rooted. That's at the core. And if we can help somebody shift that even before they start in an industry, they'll be a superstar before anybody knows it.
It's funny you said deserve, because I think a lot of people would struggle with saying, I deserve to be successful. I deserve to be wealthy. Do you find that that is maybe some of the, what's blocking people is to feel that way? Because I think most people naturally wouldn't feel like they deserve it, right?
To Ryan's point, until you can have a conversation with somebody, I never thought of that. I never thought of that as being a block until, some good conversations led to the fact that there's a belief system there that was implied by upbringing. And, my parents loved me. They give me everything they could, but you can't give somebody something you don't have. And they learned what they learned through their parents. So then we see this generational mindset that's passed on to our kids without any conscious thought.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when you open up that can of worms. I went down a deep hole trying to figure all this out and self-discovering myself and then realizing I get a lot of resistance when I bring that up. Like there's always resistance, and in that resistance is the opportunity, right? So if we can just start to talk through that, and what does that even mean to you? Like everyone has a different idea what that means, right? It's no different than the statement, I am. I always like to ask people, if I made this statement to you, how would you complete this sentence or this statement? I am. And then I let them answer that or give me some feedback. And then I'll say, what else? What else? What else? And I'll let them go down this path of I am. And it's easy to look at the negative. How many of us really focus on the positive and put ourselves individually on a pedestal and realize like we are incredible people. We're passionate. We deserve success. Right? Do we see ourselves in that light? And it did take me a while to get to that. I was always successful, but I outworked people. So Ryan, to the doing part, right? I'll do it. And then it almost cost me my marriage because I'm not there, right? Well, that's an awareness. Something has to change. And this, why do we call the company Be Do Have? It was a culmination of lifetime experiences that led me to realize, my gosh, if I only knew this when I started, life would have been much different faster.
Yeah, that whole doing and doing and doing, back to your point, it affects marriages. I've had friends who I've said, at some point your body may make the decision for you to stop. And that's the worst thing that can happen, right? So you need to kind of change your mindset and how you're doing things as well. So that's very important. And the other point that you made in terms of generational, we're learning from our parents. It's the same thing with Ryan and I when we deal with money mindsets, right? We're trying to untangle or unteach people what they've learned from their parents because it's worked for them, therefore it should work for me. And times are very different years ago, right? And we're trying to shift that thinking, that mindset with individuals as well, which can become challenging because that's how they grew up, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they've learned how to deal with debt and deal with investments and whatever else and money.
Abundance, scarcity, right? Closed-minded, open-minded, right? There's all this is in everybody's life. And I know a lot of people that have a lot of money, but they don't have a wealth mindset, which is interesting. Like, so they have the money, but deep down there's this scarcity piece that's underneath the surface. So they're working, hoarding for something in the future so I can be happy. Well, why don't we just be happy today and be grateful for what we have? And then it just flips everything upside down.
You just described a lot of retirement plans that we've worked on with clients where they want to accumulate. I mean, I know examples of people who've said, I will save every penny and accumulate, and then I will enjoy it when I retire. And they retire, and 6 months later die of a heart attack. They've missed out on life, right? So we try to help people shift that thinking, because we just don't know what the future is going to hold, right? We need to be happy today and also take care of our future as well.
Yeah. Are you noticing a difference in thinking and mindset with younger people in their 20s and 30s now? Are you seeing, because society's changed and there's so much more information now, are you starting to see it shift?
When it comes to retirement or investing,
Wealth, investing. I know a lot of our younger clients, like they have life totally more aligned than I did. Like they're all about mindfulness. They're all about travel. They're not chasing the dollar. They want to, have enough. But I'm seeing this big shift in consciousness almost with people in their 30s that are just looking and realizing, I just don't want to work forever.
yeah, I think we're seeing some of that when it comes to our industry. The one thing that Ryan and I have definitely noticed is clients are coming to us at a much younger age to prepare for retirement, as an example, right? So when I first started 20, 30 years ago, I started 35 years ago, but the planning side did about 30 years ago. Typically, a client would come to me at the age of 55 and ask for a retirement plan. And they'd have 10 years and really not enough time or enough assets to achieve some of those goals. We're seeing clients coming to us now at 35 talking about their future, right? So that is definitely one shift that we're noticing. However, I think on the flip side, what we're also noticing is there is more of an immediate gratification with some of the younger clients that we deal with. So they want results right away, and that's not reality, right? But they're picking that up from social media and what they're seeing online,
Yeah.
and so that's how they're conditioned. That's why we've seen, when I first got married with Carol, we lived in a basement apartment. We bought a small little bungalow, 2-bedroom bungalow, and by the time we got to our dream home, it took about 3 moves to get to it. I'm finding the current generation, they're not willing to take those steps. They want to go straight to dream home. And it's because, again, I think it's more social media driven as well. So that's definitely something that I've noticed is very different. Where I think with the older generation, I think there was more of an appreciation of having a job, being able to put food on the table, doing those things. They valued, I think, those things more. Where the generation today, you're right, they value not necessarily work as much. It's about experiences. It's
Right.
about lifestyle. And I don't think one is right over the other, right? But I definitely have seen that shift where it's more about the travel and not doing the 9 to 5 and the overtime and doing the extras to earn money. They'd rather do the extras to enjoy life, which I think is great, right?
It's that balance, right? And whatever makes you happy, as long as it's in alignment to your direction and your desires.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to be winding things down here soon. So before we get into how people can find you, Jamie, anything else that you want to discuss in terms of your business in closing?
I think the one thing I wanted to mention was how do you start your day? And we have a process that we call the 5-star morning. How are you waking up? When you wake up, what's the first thought? And I've started this a number of years ago, and I literally every morning I watch the movie in my mind of my future life. So before I get out of bed, it can be a couple minutes, 5 minutes. The more I do it, the more exciting it gets. But I literally just lie in bed and I start to think about my future life, my direction, my goals, my 3-year vision, where I see myself. And it's like a movie going on in my mind. And I learned this through one of my mentors as well, is to incorporate your emotions into your dreams or into your imagination. So as you're in this movie in your mind, how are you feeling? Who are you with? What are you smelling? Are you sitting in a coffee shop? Are you by the ocean? Do you hear the waves? So incorporating your senses, and what that does is it just invigorates your morning and connects you to your vision and the path. So that's how I recommend starting the day. So we wake up, we get up, and you just start to imagine this future life that you're living. And then we like to recommend meditating and or exercising in the morning, reading a good book, a couple minutes, podcast, working out at the gym, getting into movement. So there's 5 things that you could do every day. And it could be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or as long as 2 hours. Like sometimes I'll go through a process. It's a good hour, hour and a half in the morning. And I value that so much that I get up earlier because it's that important. And because I always hear time, I don't have the time. And that's an excuse, right? That's a belief system. So if something's that important, you'll make the time for it. And as a result of that, if you can start your day that way, it's more inspiring and more empowering. And then we end the day working on 3 things or thinking about 3 things. Number 1 is, what did you learn today? And we have a journal that we use with ourselves and our clients. And what was your lesson today? What did you learn today? What are you grateful for today? And what would you do different tomorrow? So reflecting. And by reflecting on your day, the 4th thing I add to that is I plan my next day. What are my top 3 things I need to do? So when I go to bed, I don't have to worry about what I'm doing tomorrow. It's already planned out. And sometimes I have struggles or things I'm working on, and ideas come to me in the middle of the night. I don't know if anyone's noticed that. You get these ideas that come to you, and I actually get up out of bed. I come to my office around the corner from our bedroom. I write it down. I go back to bed because these ideas just come and ultimately help you get closer and achieve your goals faster. So that's something I would highly recommend, Jim. I've shared the link for that. I'd be happy to allow people to check that out. I think it's a great way to frame your day and give yourself the best chance for success as fast as possible.
Awesome. And Ryan, any final questions for Jamie before he shares how people can find him?
I am grateful for my son, my partner, my family, and being able to do this podcast with you guys today.
Me too. Ditto.
Appreciate that. Ryan, we had a conversation a couple of weeks back, and there's 2 books that I'm always reading books. And I tend not to read books cover to cover anymore. One of my mentors always said, like, why are we programmed to do that? We're programmed to do that. Why do you have to do that? So I have multiple books all the time. Great book. I'm rereading again, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Okay.
And Working with the Law. That's by Raymond Hollywell. And I read these probably once a year. And it's all about your subconscious and just realizing that you can be and have anything you want if you believe in it first, believe in yourself first. And that's the work. The work's not the doing. The work is actually building the belief.
That's great. Thanks, Jamie. So if someone's interested in having a chat with you, exploring the program, what ways can they find you?
Yep, our website, bedohavemovement.com, and we're on all the social channels, so Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn is the best way to find me there. But Instagram, Facebook, bedohavemovement, and yeah, we're always watching who's checking us out.
And you have a podcast as well?
Yes, we've just started that, so that's on YouTube as well.
And what is it called?
It's under the Be Do Have Movement, and awesome. You can find us there. Jacqueline, it's the Purvis Show, and we didn't call it a podcast intentionally. We're sharing what we've learned, our struggles, and all the challenges we're facing. We just wanted to help others. I'm such a big believer in modeling and sharing successes and sharing failures because I learn more through my failures than my wins. So I'm happy to share that with others. So ideally, we can move forward in collapse time and achieve our goals faster together.
That's great. And Ryan, how can people find us? On the spot again.
tvhfinancial.ca. I'm going to leave you the phone number because I don't call this at all.
647-727-4668. And we're also on all the social media platforms as well.
No, the last 2 podcasts, I was ready for the answer, and you never asked me. And of course, the one week I'm like, he's not going to ask me. So
I'm testing you, Ryan. I'm testing you. Well, listen, Jamie, really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you very much for your time. I do encourage people to look up Jamie and Jacqueline, Be To Have Movement. And until next time, everyone, have yourselves a wonderful day and evening. Take care.
Starting strong, we're here today. Jim and Ryan lead the way. talking money every day, mastering the mind's array. Dreams of wealth within our sight, building futures burning bright. Financial talk that feels just right. Learning, grow, rise to new heights. Money mindset mastery time. Listen close and climb the line. Find from the dollar to the dime. Your success, it will be prime. Questions answered with a grin. Saving smart to win the win. Investing gold that's deep within. Every journey's where we begin. Balance books and watch them grow. Insight shared to make you glow. Financial wisdom here to show. Step by step on with the flow. Money mindset mastery time. Listen close and climb the line. Find from the dollar to the dime. Your success, it will be prime. Money mindset